Dear Grade 10 students, welcome to the presentation for English 102, Unit 9, New Language Leaders 1, in which we are going to cover Study and Writing Skills, Lesson 9.4. Before I proceed further, I would request you to bring your textbook, your notebook, pen, pencil, and a dictionary because you might need to refer to it, and have yourself comfortably seated. Let's begin. The objectives that we will be covering: to identify a sequence phrase for writing, read for specific information, use the passive voice to describe a process, and finally, to write a description of a process. So let's start with our lesson. First thing I would like to do is start by recalling certain things. So what I want you to do is that I want you to recall by reordering the following phrases. We have introduce the first topic, finish a topic, summarize/conclude a topic, start a new topic. And there is in the box number of phrases. What I want you to do is that I want you to reorder them. For example, first I would like to talk about is a statement or a phrase that we use to introduce a topic. Similarly, I want you to reorder the rest and match them in the correct place. I'll give you 2 minutes to do that. I think time is up, and by that you're done. Let's check the answers. Introducing the first topic, first I would like to talk about. Let me begin by. I would like to start by. Finish a topic, that's all I want to say about. Summarize, conclude a topic, to summarize. In conclusion, to conclude. To start a new topic, turning now to. Now these are previous information that we're recalling. Similarly, now what I want you to do is I want you to fill in the blanks. But first, I would request you to read the word banks and to read the fill in the blanks. The second time when you read it, try to fill in the blanks as you read. For example, I'll do number 1 for you. Finding out some interesting information. Remember, the first time, just read. The second, try to read and answer. Again, I'll give you 2 minutes. I'm expecting all of you to have it correct because it's easy, but let's check your answers. Number 1, as we said earlier, find out some interesting information. 2, put your ideas in the best order. 3, make some notes to help you to remember things in the talk, including key vocabulary. Number 4, prepare some pictures or charts to make your points clearer. 5, check the pronunciation of difficult words. 6, practice the talk. Now, since we recalled certain things, let's move on. In order to have an academic writing, the passive voice is very important. It's highly recommended actually for academic writings. Now, what is a passive voice? Passive voice is usually a sentence in which the person or the thing's act comes first, and then the actor is added at the end of it, introduced by a preposition by, if the actor is known. So there are 2 types of passive. One is unknown doer, the second is known doer. How do we differentiate between them? Usually, after the verb, we add at for the unknown doer, whereas the known, we add by. For example, the patients are treated at the hospital. So the answer here of the known doers are common sense. So usually the answer would be doctors or nurses. But if I want to be more specific and I want to be precise, I use by. So the patients are treated by the doctors. I specified that it's the doctors, not the nurses. Similarly comes the other examples. Now, Sonia is taught at the university at Hunter. So here, I generally said that it's at the university. But if I want to be more specific, I named the professor. So Sonia is taught by Professor Brown at Hunter. The third example, the desk is cleaned every day at the office. But if I want to be more specific, I would say the desk is cleaned every day by Maria. So if you want to be more specific, you identify the doer by using by, whereas if the doer is unknown, but it's a common sense, we use at. Now, taking in mind what we just recalled, the chronological order or the phrases that are used in order to write a paragraph. So first, second, in the beginning, in conclusion, we recall these things, as well as we just described the passive. Now, what I want you to do is to put it into practice through reading this paragraph. So what I want you to do, to write the sequence phrases and note the examples of the passive in the text. I'll give you 2 minutes to read the text, and please note down the sequence of the word phrases as well as the passive. let's read the paragraph all together and check our answers at the same time. So, the title, The Early Stages of Making Chocolate. The journey from cocoa tree to chocolate bar is not complex, but it requires several steps, each of which requires careful treatment to get the best foam, the finished product. First, ripe cocoa pods are harvested. The harvest time varies from region to region, but the process of turning it into chocolate begins immediately. Then, the beans are placed in a pile or box and stirred. After this, they are led out to dry in the sun or in a shed. After the beans become dry, they are put into a big sack which goes to factories. At the factories, the beans are stored in large buildings called stalls. The beans are then cleaned and then roasted. Cocoa is the powder made from the roasted seeds. The beans are then cracked and then crushed. At this point, the cocoa butter is separated out. Finally, the cocoa butter is turned into a chocolate liquid. The underlined words are the sequence phrases: first, second, then, next, finally. And the red words, the ones that are in bold and red, are the passive words or the passive phrases. Harvested, are placed. So these are the, we said there are two types of passive: the known passive and the known doer and the unknown doer. So both are here used. Now, after knowing the sequence of writing an essay and after fixating on the fact that the passive voice is important for academic writing and practicing it through reading, now let's get more practical. First of all, let's discuss the layout. As we all know, the layout, there has to be a beginning. In the beginning, to begin, first of all, to start off, for example, to begin with, in making bars of milk chocolate in a factory, the beans are roasted at 135 degrees Celsius. When we're going to talk about the body, here comes the steps of how do we do the things. So next, following this, then, after, and so on. For example, next, the beans are sent to be crushed in order to remove the shells, following, then, after that, next, and so on till the procedure is almost to the end. When we reach the end, we usually use finally, lastly, in the end, and we should always recommend by saying should, could, may. And last but not least, never forget to use a passive voice in an academic writing. So as we see, the writing is usually always the same: introduction, body, and conclusion. Now, let's have another practice. Fill in the blanks with the phrases in the box to complete the process writing. So what I want you to do is, again, first I want you to read the choices and read the script. The second time while reading, try to fill in with the answers. Again, I'll give you 3 minutes to read it and try answering it. Okay, let's check and read it all together and look what are the answers. So, car production is costly business. Most cars are made by companies that can produce them in large numbers, and this process is long and complicated. There are certain stages that should be followed to the letter in order for cars to be made. The production stage are as follows. As you can see, this is the introductory part, the introduction. Now, first of all, why did they write here first of all in the body? Because now they'll start talking about the process. So, first of all, the first designs of the car are made by the design team. Then, the first model of the car, which is called a prototype, is made with the help of engineers. The prototype is tested on the road, and the engineers check if there are any problems and if changes are necessary. Changes are made and the design is modified. Other tests are made and the results are recorded, and journalists are invited to write articles about the new car model. After that, the new car model is shown at trade exhibitions all over the world. Finally, the car is mass produced and a big marketing campaign is launched. Cars are expensive, and it is important that their production is done perfectly. The following steps ensures that the marketing of anything will be successful. Those steps will reduce the risk for anything to go wrong. By following steps, everything will come out perfect and beautiful. Now, similarly, in a similar way, what I want you to do is that I want you to reorder these phrases, and I want you to write them using the chronological order. I want you to write a paragraph using the chronological order which was just presented here. So first of all, next, finally, after that, and remember to use the passive voice. So I'll give you the first one as an example. First of all, the beans are roasted at 135 degrees Celsius. I'm expecting you to continue the next. So tell me what is the process. Again, I'll give you 3 minutes. I hope you're done. We have been doing a lot of practices about this, but let's review the answers all together. So this is the model that we're expecting. First of all, the beans are roasted at 135 degrees Celsius. Next, the beans are crushed and the shells are removed. Following this, the inner parts of the beans are pressed and liquid chocolate is produced. Then, milk and sugar are added. After this, the mixture is poured into the molds and it is cooled down. Finally, the bars are warped in a foil and a paper. Now, the fixed two answers is first of all and finally. Following this, then, after that, next, these things or these words can be moved around. So they can be correct if you didn't use them in the same order. With that, we came to the end of the lesson today. Thank you and see you soon.